Nuggets of Gold, episode 80. 80 episodes. What a blessing. What a blessing to get to be a part of your lives. What a blessing to be able to dip into the Word of God and have it encourage me and try to encourage you. So, I'm just praising God. Episode 80. Let's get into a nugget here. Let's go purple. And what do we have? Colossians 1, 15 through 17. Here is a praise and a description about Jesus. It says this, Colossians 1, 15 through 17. Jesus is the image of the invisible God. All things were created through him and for him, and he is before all things, and in him all things hold together. I'm going to read that again. We're layering up like this great theological cake, these descriptions and these truths about Jesus. Listen to them and let's see if we can count how many there is. Jesus is the image of the invisible God. All things were created through him. All things were created for him. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. 5 Christological truths. And let's pause and pray and ask that our eyes could be open to be amazed by Jesus. All right, see, my phone is falling a little bit here. Let's see if we can get the balance back. There we go. Okay, so many thoughts. Jesus is amazing. This very first thought in the verse is that Jesus is the image of the invisible God. That means if you want to know how much does God care? What would God do if he was here on earth? If you want to see what God, how he interacts with people, then we look at Jesus. Jesus is the image of the invisible God. Jesus displays, he's the visible representation of who God is. So we read through our Bibles, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and we see Jesus. And what we're seeing is not how Jesus is different from the Old Testament God. Lots of people will say that. The Old Testament God, grumpy God. The New Testament God, Jesus is so nice. No, this verse says Jesus is showing us how God does live with people, how he feels about people, how he cares about people, what makes him angry. And so if you want to know what the God of heaven, the eternal God, if you want to see him and understand how he interacts with people, look to Jesus. And I think we're just amazed by the beautiful way that Jesus cares for people and teaches and lives among people and gives warnings. Jesus is the image of the invisible God. Then it says, all things were created through him and for him. I'm going to jump on the phrase for him. All things were created for Jesus. And in my mind, I'm thinking of what happens when we misuse what things are created for. Imagine somebody climbing up by hand a roller coaster track, trying to climb all the way up the hill and getting to the very top where there's not railings up there on the rails, and then trying to go down. And you see somebody using the track for what it's not meant to be used for, you say, stop. That is too dangerous. That is risky. You're going to damage yourself. This track was made for enjoying in the safety of a roller coaster, the security of a roller coaster, and it was meant for something really fun. Get on a roller coaster and use it for what it was made for. Or another example, I think of one of my sons this summer. We went to the beach where there was a wall made out of concrete blocks, big concrete blocks, and he found a block that was loose, and he would pick it up, and he was carrying it around the beach and carrying it around the playground, showing off how strong he was. And he's kind of going over by the younger kids and being like, "Oh, I got this big concrete block," and little kids are running and screaming because they didn't want to be smashed by the concrete block, and he thought it was a lot of fun. We as his parents had to go and say, "Hey buddy, I don't think that's what that concrete block was made for. Don't misuse what this was made for. It's made to be a part of this nice, beautiful wall over here. So let's put the block back what it's for." Okay, so why am I talking about what the roller coaster track is made for and what the concrete block is made for? Because this says all things were created for Jesus. All things created for Jesus, and that includes you. You were made for Jesus. The roller coaster track was made for the roller coaster fun. The concrete block was made for being a retaining wall. And if you misuse either of those, disaster can happen. If you don't use something in the way that it was made for, disaster will happen. And I want to remind you out of this verse today that we were made for Jesus. That if you want your life to become all that your life can be, that if you want to maximize the meaning of your life, then we live it for Jesus. All things were created through him and for him. If you're losing your life for yourself, or for the pursuit of something else to a greater degree than you are for Jesus, you're going to find yourself being frustrated. You're going to find yourself being continually disappointed. You're going to find yourself feeling aimless. And I want to remind you today, think on what it means, research, dig into what it means to live for Jesus. Then you will find that your life becomes alive, even if there's difficulty around you, because you and I and all things were created for him. And we'll see you next time.